Hey everybody, back out here at the farm today. You can see our sunflowers that are in the cucumber patch are finally starting to bloom. They are looking great. Let's see if I can show them to you there. Couple different varieties, but they are looking wonderful. Birds are starting to gather for them, and if you'll look closely, you'll see down below amongst the grass we've got some balsam that seeded itself, a bunch of beautiful zinnias, and there's a whole bunch down this way. Look at that, isn't that just beautiful? Growing all amongst down in the bottom there. Absolutely beautiful. Glad that we planted them this way because they look like they're doing really well. Have to come out and cut some more of them. Come over here, cucumbers are starting to actually look much better, which is interesting. Got some on there that I need to get in and pick. I see several actually. I'll get them picked here in a minute. These black-eyed peas have gone crazy, and I was going to show you the flower being open, but it's only open really, oh, there's one. It's only open really early in the day, and then they'll close up. But you'll see all these beginning pea pods here. Those are going to be full of black-eyed peas, and not too long at all. But eggplants still doing their thing down in there. Check on our squash. This one is not blooming, which is interesting. It doesn't have any buds on it. This crazy volunteer tomato actually has some ripe ones down in there. This is a Juliet variety, so we'll grab those. Come over this way. Our squash is starting to slow down. Just getting too hot on it, kind of the end of its lifespan, but we've had way more squash this year than last year. And you'll see, for the most part, these plants are still really healthy. So we got one being sacrificed by the squash bugs there. But I'm actually not seeing any squash bugs this morning. So maybe there's some eggs right there. But I think being vigilant on removing the eggs has made a big difference. Because I see several squash I need to pick, actually, because these plants are lasting so much longer than they normally would. Excuse the grass. It's been so hot and smoky that we just can't be out here right now. Look at the baseball bat zucchini. We'll pick that and make some zucchini bread with it. Oh, I don't know if I told you that my little what's it called? Cantaloupe did finally come up and is surviving, and I believe has little baby cantaloupes on it. So that's exciting. I gotta keep protecting it and keeping an eye on it and keep anybody from weeding it and destroying it. There's also a watermelon over that way, and I'll show you that shortly. These green beans, they are blooming again and making little baby green beans. So for the time being, I'm letting them stay because it's too hot to really mess with them. And what I'll do is when it's time, when I've decided I want to put something else in this row, I'll come through and pick off whatever beans are on them. Like I'll probably pick up the whole plant and pick off whatever beans off of them and then throw the plants in the compost pile. Because look, we're making fresh green beans again. So I'll probably get at least one more picking off of those. Coming back to these peppers, I've picked some of these poblanos. There's some more on here that I can pick, it looks like. I've picked a whole bunch of these pimento jalapenos. Remember, they're supposed to be pimentos and they are totally jalapenos. I've picked a bunch of those and distributed them. These sweet potato vines are finally coming into their own and taking over in exchange for the weeds. So that's great. Hopefully they're starting to make some potatoes under there. Got a lot of these yellow peppers, but they're not actually turning yellow. They're staying like a lime green. So I don't know if they're actually going to turn yellow or not. I haven't had one do it yet. There's purple ones right here. They're pretty interesting. The purple ones never get very big. And then these are supposed to be red, but they haven't matured and started changing yet. We talked about the green beans, the butter beans. They were blooming. Oh, they are still blooming. I was worried about with the heat if they were going to keep their blooms or not, but it looks like they are. They're starting to look better as well. Let's see. They put up these shoots full of blooms, and then they're going to put little bean pods off of that. Tomatoes are starting to finish up. I see a bunch I need to pick, but they pretty much are on their last leg. I don't expect, well, these celebrities that are closest, they may hang out a little bit longer, but the ones that are dying, like down in that area and stuff, and especially the Mountain Fresh row, I'm gonna go ahead in the next week or so, once they really seem like they've slowed down, I'll go ahead and clean all that up. And I think what I'm gonna do, because if you've noticed, the corn's gone. The raccoons came back. My dad and I were able to pick probably about 3 dozen ears of corn before the raccoons came back and got it all. But they have now taken care of that for us. And what I'm going to do is get my dad to come out with the disc on the tractor and disc this up really well. So in other words, chop it up really well. And potentially chop up this first tomato row as well. And that's going to turn into our pumpkin patch. I know it's a little late to be planting pumpkins, but usually when we plant pumpkins around July 4th, like it's recommended, we have pumpkins that are ready too early for Halloween, and they'll start rotting before it's too warm when they start coming in, and so they'll rot before Halloween. So it may actually be better to be planting them later. So I'm going to give it a try anyways. I have tons of pumpkin seeds. Might throw some gourds in there, and we'll just see what comes of it. Then if you come over this way, as I walk through a spider web, if you come over this way, these green beans are looking great. They are blooming. You'll see down in here, they have started to bloom. And you'll see that it's much cleaner over here now. I took a push mower through here on both sides, and then took the walk behind tiller on both sides, so that we can actually get to these to maintain them. And then this next row, you'll see a bunch of corn stalks here. That's just where I pulled them from over there. This was the row of carrots and radishes and onions and really just grass and weeds. So I did the same thing with this. Cut it really short and then went through with the tiller. If you try to take a tiller through the tall grass, all you're going to do is get it all tangled up. So you really need to cut it first and get that taken care of, and then you can come through with the tiller, and your tiller will do much better. You'll also notice that this row is now gone as well. This was the strawberry row. I went through and dug up the strawberry plants that were in there, as well as their babies. And I'll show you what I'm going to do with those and where they currently are. But went ahead and cleaned up this row. Now, I didn't have time the other day to go through and till this, so I'm going to have to come back and get this tilled up as well. I think what I'm going to do is I think these 2 rows, I'm going to plant a new batch of butter beans and go back to the Henderson variety. And we've got plenty of time left in our season. We won't have our first frost typically until around Halloween. So we've got a little bit of time to get some other things in. So I think 2 rows of butter beans here are what's going to happen. Now that I've got that cleaned up, you can see the wildflowers and the sunflowers a lot better. And you'll remember All of these sunflowers were volunteers. I didn't plant any sunflowers over here. And look at, like, this is a very short sunflower, but look at the size of the head on this thing. And look how large those seeds are. So it's really interesting. I actually really like this one. So if I can save the seeds from the birds, I might have to bring a bag or something out and cover this up. But if I can save those seeds, I think I'll plant them again and see how they do, because I really like this height. It's probably about 5 foot, maybe a little bit more than 5 foot tall. But it's a great height, and this one is pretty much the same height, but it's a different variety. But they're looking great, especially since they planted themselves. So there's 2 rows of flowers here. The early row that I planted, and then this row here that just looks like a bunch of weeds is actually a bunch of marigolds. They just haven't taken off yet. But I'm hoping now that things are cleaned up a little bit better that they'll take off. If they don't, when I come back to till this row up, they may disappear as well, but we will see. And then on this far side, I've got this one empty row here, which actually could probably be 2 rows. And I haven't decided what I want to do with it. I have a bunch of seed potatoes left from where we grew potatoes, and I saved all the little ones out. And I'm tempted to put some potatoes over here. I'm trying to put things in all these empty spots so that I can keep the ground covered and not have so many weeds to fight, but actually be able to harvest some food instead of weeds. So I'm thinking that might be where potatoes go, but we will see. Got to do a little more thinking, but definitely some butter beans here, maybe some potatoes on the far end there. Then when I take up these green bean plants, not sure what's going to go in their spot. But like I said, all this here, I'm hoping it's going to be my pumpkin patch. But we will see. And you can see down through there, you can really see that raccoon destruction. They just wiped it all out. But thankfully we got what we wanted and what we needed out of it. So they can have the rest at this point. Next year we'll do something a little bit different to ensure we don't have so much trouble with them. But that's where everything stands at the moment. It's pretty hot out here. Still a little smoky from Canada's wildfires. But I think I'm going to get to picking and get the rest of these tomatoes in and cucumbers and everything else that's here to harvest. Not a whole lot of sounds out here today. A lot of the hot bugs, as I like to call them. These hot summer cicadas and other sorts. You can probably hear them in the background. Not a whole lot of birds. It's pretty hot and dry, so I don't think they're out right now. But thanks for coming. Thanks for being here. As always, if there's anything you have questions about or comments, please leave them below. Share this with your friends if you liked it or you know somebody who would enjoy it. And come back next week as we start getting ready for the fall.